Welcome to the Pigskin Prognosticator, coming to you from PubClub.com, world headquarters here in San Diego, California. This is a prediction for this week's games with a little bit of a funny analysis. It's based on a Southern folk hero of sorts named Leonard, who did a Saturday show called Leonard's Losers. All right, let's jump right into it. Last week in September. This week is a Clash of the Titans with a few other games of mild interest scattered around like undercards in a big prize fight. Now, there is some concern in Athens, there's optimism in Tuscaloosa, while elsewhere there's nervousness in Norman, a chill so deep on the plains, some are already talking about a freeze out. There's smooth terrain on Rocky Top, a when does basketball season start wisdom in Westwood, and a can we get to the playoffs already impatience in Austin. Now let's get on to the games. All times are Pacific because the prognosticator lives on the West Coast. Starting with Friday, there are a couple of games on Friday. Virginia Tech at Miami, 4:30 p.m. ESPN. The Gobblers, who've been playing like turkeys this year, take their battered boys under the eyes of the hurricane on Friday, and not just Helene is what they'll be facing. The Hurricanes are a much more powerful force than the Hokies can handle, and they will be blown all the way back to Blacksburg. Winner, Miami. Washington at Rutgers, 6 p.m. Fox. Big Ten reality hits the Huskies hard as they must dog it across the country to New Jersey to play a Friday night game under the lights. They'll face an undefeated team, although with a schedule softer than the New York Bagel, and one coming off a close win at the previously mentioned Virginia Tech. The Dogs will certainly be able to penetrate the thin armor of the Knights on this night. Winner, Washington. Okay, now on to Saturday's games. Wisconsin at USC, 12:30 p.m. CBS. Bucky is making the trip to Los Angeles, but this bunch of fickle furries is not going there for the Rose Bowl, but to face some disappointed Trojans who are sharpening their swords after being booted from the big house. A significant number of Badgers who live in Southern California will be at the game, but they won't be jumping for joy in the fourth quarter. Winner, USC. Arkansas at Texas A&M, 12:30 p.m. ESPN. This old-school Southwestern Conference rivalry is always one of the more entertaining games of the year because of the bizarre plays that take place in it. The result is predictable, but how it gets there is not. It works something like this. Arkansas starts out dominant in the game, and it looks like the cadets are going to get blown out to the point where the alumni start passing around a 10-gallon hat, raising money for the next buyout. But then an odd thing happens. There's a bounce off of a helmet, a fumble backwards, or some other bizarre play that puts the soldiers right back into it. And then the Sueys will drive down the field, ready to win the game, and only have a field goal doink off the crossbar or some other bizarre bad snap, some other bizarre thing will happen. The same thing happens all the time. It's just bizarre, but it's entertaining. Winner, Texas A&M. Louisville at Notre Dame, 12:30 p.m. on Peacock. And this is coming for those who don't believe me. We're going to take you away, okay? Louisville at Notre Dame, 12:30 p.m. on Peacock. The sometimes Fighting Irish took out all their Northern Illinois frustration on poor old defenseless Purdue last week, but things won't be quite as easy when the Kentucky Birds fly into town. They're going to have their fistful trying to topple the Cards, and in this end, they'll have just enough fight for them to get the W. Winner, Notre Dame. Mississippi State at Texas, 1:15 p.m. SEC Network. The stark reality for Stark Vegas is the simple truth that, despite some preseason excitement over a new coach, this team is just not very good. And it's facing one that is, which will leave the overwhelmed visitors watching the Golden Arch lead an offense that's going to reduce the State Dogs to whimpering puppies. Winner, Texas. Georgia and Alabama, the big game of the week, 4:30 p.m. on ABC. When Nick Saban was in charge of the Pachyderms, the team was able to put his foot down on Kirby's canines, but fortunately for the visiting Dogs, Saban is now on the ESPN College Game Day set and not on the sidelines. Instead, it's Cool Kalen, who has yet to break a headset in Tuscaloosa, which will be a test of his temperament. He's got the team to continue to torment the Silver Britches, and if Kentucky can hold the Dogs in check, then the Crimson Tide certainly can too. Although this will be a much more ferocious veto that goes into Tuscaloosa and then into Lexington, although the tidal wave of offense is going to be the difference. Winner, Alabama. And finally, Oregon at UCLA. That's 8 p.m. on Fox. The battered Bruins did little to cure the BBS syndrome. That's battered Bruin syndrome. Not easy to say, is it? The BBS. Of their fans last week in Baton Rouge. And this week doesn't look much more promising with the rising waterfowl flying into Pasadena. Traditionally, the Baby Bears have demonstrated an uncanny ability to bounce back up after losses. But this team is not showing any ability to repeat the pattern of its predecessors. Winner, Oregon. And that is the Pigskin Prognosticator for the last week of September. You can read the whole thing on PubClub.com. Cheers.